Purple Label is a fragrance that was released in 2003. Interestingly enough, it was one of the, you could say, precursors of stuff like Aventus, because Aventus had a lot of prototypes. It's essentially that mix of this aromatic, woody, masculine stuff like green Irish tweed, but then with this fruity layer. In this case, the fruitiness comes from blackberry mixed with mandarin orange, which is a very subtle sweetness. It still remains aromatic enough to be masculine and very office safe, which is one of the main selling points of this fragrance. I want to compare this fragrance today with Bleecker Street by Bond No. 9, also an American brand, and Bleecker Street was released 2 years after this in 2005. Purple Label doesn't have anything sweet about it aside from the fruitiness, while Bleecker Street does emphasize on sweetness with caramel and vanilla and amber in the base. Essentially, this one is an herbal, woody blackberry fragrance, and this one is a sweet blueberry fragrance with an aromatic and ozonic mix. Smell profile wise, I personally prefer the Purple Label. Now let's talk about price to performance ratio for a minute. The biggest problem with Purple Label is its longevity. The projection on both of these fragrances is not great. They are both lower end of medium projecting fragrances, so they don't have like a huge projection, but then the longevity. Bleecker Street, you will get your 6, 7, 8 hours with this, which is quite decent for what it does. On the other hand, Purple Label is like a 3-hour fragrance max, and it turns to a skin scent after about an hour, maybe 1.5. But what about skin chemistry? I know, this fragrance doesn't care. It just doesn't last. It doesn't want you to believe in it. It wants you to accept that it's not a long-lasting fragrance. Although it's a weak and not so strongly performing fragrance, it's quite expensive, especially for a designer. I think everything above $1 per milliliter is quite expensive for a designer. Bleecker Street is considered an expensive niche fragrance. You do get the longevity. Smell-wise, I personally prefer the Purple Label. I never wore it, even in summertime, just because it was so weak. As I said, I prefer the slightly herbal, greener, slightly fruity take from Purple Label. If you love this sweetness with the vanilla and caramel, Bleecker Street might be for you. They are both fruity, they both have this berry, like blackberry, blueberry, they are in the same fruity realm, you could say. Smell-wise, Purple Label remains to be the best DNA of Ralph Lauren, because I'm honestly not the biggest fan of most of their creations. Purple Label is very unique in that regard. I heard that the Ultraviolet by Paco Rabanne, which ironically was also released 2 years prior to this in 2001, is also supposed to be in this realm. I have never smelled that one. Let me know if you know any other fragrances that could be considered a substitute for one of these. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Bye bye.